Hello, it's Steve Coomer, and I wanted to talk to you about something you could do this winter and that would help your fishing a lot, and really it's a lot of fun. And we're going to start out first with this little book right here. This is the Stream Fishes of Ohio Field Guide. It's put out by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. Now, if you're like me this winter, you're going to go to all these fishing and hunting shows that are usually January, February, March, and at almost every one of these, the Department of Natural Resources has set up a booth, and they're giving these guys away. Or you can stop at your division headquarters. You can look that up, and there's one in each of the districts in Ohio, and you can stop in and get one there. And you can also go online, and if you Google "Stream Fishes of Ohio," this puppy will pop up and you can look at it online. And it is really cool because it shows all of the stream fishes of Ohio, and it gives you a little map, and it shows you where they're at, tells you a little bit about their habits, how they act in the water, gives you a great picture of them, and it's just an awesome little book just to identify everything from the big giant fishes. There's flathead catfish, channel cats, all the game fish, all the big non-game fish, and down to the tiniest minnow. Now, here's where the fun starts. You can take this book and these guys right here, some colored Sharpies, and you can have a blast. What you do is you take kind of a basic, here's a curly shad, kind of pearl colored. Here's a white one. Here's a plain pearl one. And you take those, and you take your little book, and for instance, this is the Central Stone Roller. The river that I fish the most, the Little Miami River, the most common fish in it is the Central Stone Roller. And if you look at this map, it just is just a network of little lines showing you that the Central Stone Roller is common in nearly every stream in Ohio. And lots of times they're in huge, huge numbers. And anyway, you take that plain curly shad, you take those colored markers, and you have some fun. Right now it is 8 degrees out. There's 4 inches of snow on the ground, and the river's flooded and blowed out. So I don't have anything better to do. So I'm gonna work on my lure selection for this summer. So anyway, I take this plain pearly shad and those markers, and I end up with this. Now tell me, isn't that a pretty cool Central Stone Roller? I think so. He's certainly better than anything I'm going to find out there on the market. And you make you up a dozen of these, put them in your box. You look up the other common stuff in the rivers you fish. Like for instance, Ohio has a bunch of dace. There's all kinds of dace. Now, look at this guy. A curly shad. It's got gold flake. How killer is that? Look how good he looks. Love that. And you can just go down the line. You can do that to all the. There's tons and tons of course, different kinds of shiners and silvery minnows and things like that. And now those, you don't have to go to the stream of the markers. You can find something like these curly swims and paddle swims, and this paddle televix, a regular curly shad, and you match up the size, the shape of the minnow that you're trying to imitate. And you read in the book about its habits, and you find out, if I'm trying to imitate a darter, then I want to fish it in the rocks on the bottom. If I'm trying to fish a shiner, I want to fish it up in the pool. And this little book will tell you about their habits and what to do there. And for instance, look here. Here's a greenside darter. Indeed, we go back to our little map. Here's a banded darter up here at the top, if you can see that. Banded darter, pretty close to that guy. And these green banded darters, look at the map. They're all over Ohio. You know, another great, fantastic imitation. You know, it's got that mylar in there to give it a little flash, the green. If I'm stream fishing, I'm carrying something like this to imitate a darter. Here's another darter. There seems like the darters come in like a couple really common types. The green banded ones, and then these guys here, the rainbow orange-throated darters. There's a ton of these, and they are extremely common. In some sections of the Little Miami River, in a lot of the riffle areas, you know, their darters are going to replace the central stone rollers as the most common minnows in the river, and that's the way it is in most streams across Ohio. Well, plain white curly shad, or it was a plain white curly shad. Look at my cool darters, you know. I think it's going to work. I think they look a lot like them. I have confidence in them. Confidence is everything. You know, a big smallmouth bass is a selective smallmouth bass. Time and time again, studies have shown, you know, he's 10 or 12 years old. He's a little smarter. He's a little more selective than a little smallmouth bass. You know, you find the minnow that's common where you're at. You start doctoring them up. You know, you put a stripe down the side, some splotches, and you can turn this guy into this guy. For instance, look at this guy. Log perch. Very, very common. I think most river fishermen have seen a log perch. You know, I've got another paddle tail swim bait here, Vicks. He's a little green. He's kind of got that color on him, but he's not quite there. A little bit of play with the marker. You know what? I've got a swell log perch. And try it. It's a lot of fun. You'll end up with a box that is tailor-made for where you fish, and you'll have confidence in it. The fish will like them. It's a whole lot of fun. And isn't that what fishing's about? So pick this book up at your next show you go to, or you know, stop in the OD&R office and pick it up. They'll give it to you for free. Me, I got 2 or 3 of them. You know, look at this one. It's all beat up. Places marked. So you know, I picked up a new one last time I went. Or you can do it online, and you can get way more involved than even the book if you want to. Now I want to talk about how you can make an incredible lure selection that is tailor-made for where you fish, and it'll be the best lure selection in the world for the areas you fish. And let me tell you how that works. Well, you go to Google and you Google this right here. Let's see if I can get that in the screen. It says the Biological and Water Quality Reports Index, in case that don't come across too good. Google Biological and Water Quality Reports Index. It'll be the first thing that comes up. Click on that. And boy, the Ohio Department of Resources does a swell job. I'm sorry, it's not an OD&R product. It is an EPA product. And you use that in conjunction with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources book. What this puppy does is the EPA, they electroshock every stream in Ohio that's, I swear if it's big enough to jump across it, they've electroshocked it. And at intervals down its length, usually 3-4 miles. And you can find out what is in your stream. You go to the Biological and Water Quality Reports Index. You look up, you know, the Darby, the Muskingum, the Little Miami, and you find the report, and it'll list the report, and then it'll list this, the appendices. That's where you want to go. That's where the fun stuff is. And mind you, the appendices are sometimes hundreds of pages, so you just scroll till you find the shocking data, where they've electroshocked the river. And it'll tell you in your stream what they found, if they found so many log perch, and how many of them there were, and how many dace there were, and how many green-sided darters, You know how many shiners of different kinds there were. And it'll tell you not only how many there were, but where they shocked the different species at. So you can look up the areas that you fish the most commonly, and you can make you a lure selection that matches where you fish. It's pretty cool. Now, you can also take this to even more extreme if you want. You can just go and go and go. You can spend all winter doing this if you want, if you're a kind of OCD like me. And that is if you Google this, Species Guide Index. Now this is an ODNR product. And it'll give you, go to the Species Guide Index and you Google Central Stone Roller. Gives you a swell picture just like in the book. It tells you about its habitat, what part of the pool it lives in, so that you know if I'm fishing in the pool, I want to fish something imitating the shiner, and I want to fish it a little higher in the water column. As I get closer, and if I'm on moss-covered rocks, that's what central stone rollers eat. They eat moss off of rocks. That's what I want to fish there. If I get up in the riffle, then I want to start fishing my darters. And it'll tell you what lives where. So you go back to your biological water quality reports index. You look up your stream. You find out what is in your section of river. And then you match that up with the species guide index. And you find out how to fish them. I want to fish this on the bottom. I want to fish this higher in the water column. And anyway, some food for thought. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.